All right. So we're doing a deep dive today, and it's one that you specifically asked for.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're looking at self-love.
Nice.
And
That's a good one.
it is a really good one. Sometimes you think,
Yeah.
like, oh, I got this self-love thing.
Right.
But we found this video, and I thought it was
Mm.
really interesting because even if you think you know
Yeah.
a lot about self-love, this might give you a few
Ah,
new things to think about.
cool.
It's from Tasha Strong, and it's on her YouTube channel called YH8ME TV.
Awesome.
But one of the first things that I thought was really interesting was she talks about this thing that a lot of us do,
Yeah.
where we just give and give and give and give,
Right.
and we're always taking care of other people and, maybe not even thinking about ourselves so much.
Yeah.
And she uses this analogy
Oh, yeah.
that I have heard before, but she says,
Mm.
you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yes, definitely. And I think that's especially relevant for our listeners. They're focused on earning
Right.
and personal growth, and all of that takes energy, right?
Yeah.
So if you're constantly pouring out and not refilling your own cup, it's going to be really hard to keep growing.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Because I'm like, if you're trying to learn
Yeah.
something new and you're just
Mm.
exhausted because you've been giving to
Right.
everybody else, you're not going to be receptive to that information.
Yeah, you're not going to absorb it in the same way
Exactly.
as you would if you were feeling energized and grounded in yourself.
Right.
And she emphasizes this too, that self-care is not just mental and emotional.
Yeah.
It's also physical. We need to make sure we're taking care of our bodies
Yes.
as well as our minds
Totally.
to really thrive.
And another thing that she brought up that I thought was really interesting is how do we actually do that?
Yeah, how do we make that happen?
And so one of the things that she talked about
Yeah.
was setting boundaries
Yeah.
and how important that is.
Yes, absolutely.
And a lot of people. I
Yeah.
think that's one of those things that we struggle with.
Yeah.
Especially, if you're
used to people pleasing?
yes, like if you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I can do that for you and I can do that for you and I can do that.
Right. And then all of a sudden you have no time or energy left for yourself.
Yes.
And Tasha, she actually gives this great example about setting boundaries.
Okay.
So she talks about this scenario where you have someone who's constantly asking you for favors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you feel obligated to say yes every time, but then it ends up draining you.
Right.
So her advice is to start small.
Okay.
And she says, instead of instantly agreeing, maybe just say, hey, let me check my schedule and get back to you.
Well, I like that.
Right.
Okay.
Because that gives you that breathing room to really think about it
Yes.
and decide if it actually aligns with your needs and priorities.
Yeah, like, do I really have time for this?
Right.
Or am I just saying yes because I feel like I have to?
And that also goes back to what she said earlier about how you teach people how to value you
Right.
by first valuing yourself.
Yes.
It's not about being selfish. It's about recognizing your own worth and setting standards for how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
And I think that can be so empowering, especially when you're thinking about learning and personal growth.
Yes.
Because when you value your time and you trust your judgment, you're going to approach learning with so much more confidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
It's like this foundation of self-respect that just impacts everything you do.
Yes. And speaking of confidence, she was talking about how self-love can really give you that confidence boost.
Absolutely.
And, it kind of unlocks this resilience so that when you're going through something difficult,
Yeah.
instead of being like, oh my God, this is awful.
Right. Instead of getting bogged down by negative self-talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can be like, okay,
Yeah.
I can deal with this.
You're able to handle those challenges in a healthier way
Exactly.
because you have that belief in yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
And she even talks about how self-love can help you reframe setbacks and view them as opportunities for growth.
Oh, that's so good because I think that's something that we all struggle with.
Definitely.
So it's like instead of beating yourself up over a mistake,
Yeah,
you can ask yourself, what can I learn from this?
exactly. And that's a much more positive and productive approach.
Yes. And another thing she points out is that self-love isn't like this destination, right?
Right,
It's not like, oh, I achieved self-love.
It's not a one-time thing. It's a journey.
Yes, it's a journey. And I love that she said that because I think it's important for all of us to remember
Yeah,
that it's a constant process of making choices that support our well-being.
absolutely.
And I really like that she emphasized patience and forgiveness because let's face it, we all mess up sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah, we're human.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not going to be perfect at self-love all the time.
Exactly.
It's okay to have those slip-ups as long as we learn from them and keep moving forward.
Yes. And you know what that made me think about is how that relates to learning in general,
Yeah, absolutely.
because it's like any skill, right?
Yeah.
It takes practice and dedication.
Exactly. And you're not going to become an expert overnight.
Yeah.
It's about consistently showing up for yourself and making those choices that support your growth,
Yes.
both in terms of self-love and in terms of your learning journey.
Exactly. Yeah.
They kind of go hand in hand.
They do.
When you're taking care of yourself, you're better equipped to learn and grow,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
I love that. And so as we kind of wrap things up here,
Yeah.
I would love for you to reflect on this
Mhm.
video and think about this. What are some ways
Yeah.
that you can weave self-love into your daily routine?
I love that.
Yeah, like little things that you can do every day.
Right. The small acts of self-care.
Yes. What boundaries can you start setting today
Yeah.
to protect your energy and your time?
Because that's so crucial.
It is.
If you don't have those boundaries in place, it's easy to get overwhelmed.
Yes, exactly.
Out.
Totally. And most importantly,
Yeah.
remember what Tasha said about looking in the mirror?
Yes.
Like really look in the mirror and acknowledge your worth.
Such a powerful message.
I know, it really is.
And I think that's something we all need to hear sometimes.
Yes, definitely.
Because it's easy to get caught up in negative self-talk and forget how amazing we truly are.
Right. And I think that's what this whole video is about. You know, it's
Yeah.
like a reminder that self-love is essential, not just for our own well-being, but also for the well-being of those around us.
Exactly. Because when we love and respect ourselves,
Yeah.
it naturally flows outward into our interactions with others.
Right.
We become more patient, more understanding, more compassionate.
And, you know, I think that's what Tasha was saying at the end of the video
Yeah.
when she was talking about how self-love can ultimately lead to a kinder, more respectful world.
Absolutely. It's like this ripple effect.
Yes.
Starting with ourselves and then spreading outwards.
So keep that in mind as you continue on your own journey
Yeah.
of self-discovery and growth.
And keep asking yourself that question
Yes.
that Tasha posed at the end of the video.
Yes. What are some ways you practice self-love?
I love that.
I do too. And I
Yeah.
think just thinking about that is going to help all of us,
Absolutely.
you know?
It's a great starting point
Yes.
for cultivating more self-love in our lives.
I think so too.
It's a journey, but it's a worthwhile one.
It is.
For sure.
Okay, well, that's our deep dive for today.
Great.
And we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
All right, bye.
Bye.